All right, best for last today. We're going to do the top 10 players in the playoffs. We're considering everything. For instance, Giannis is hurt, going to miss games. But playoffs generally reward older players. So I know it's going to be controversial, but that's the way the playoffs are. Older players manipulate the refs. By the way, the NBA at about the trade deadline stopped officiating the way they were officiating. So they made an in-season adjustment. They're letting teams play. We had a Celtics-Bucks game at the end of the year where they're like 2 free throws. So you're going to get more physical basketball, fewer foul calls, refs step back every round. You're going to get fewer and fewer whistles. That's kind of what you like in the NBA. So these are my top 10 players in the NBA in order. So advanced analytics love Jokic. All the stuff like win shares and efficiency. He's the best player in the league. Box score plus minus, value over replacement player. The guy had 708 assists this year as a center. Jokic is number one. Luka Doncic, who now his blocks were up, his steals were up. He led the Mavs in steals, playing some defense now finally, probably because he's in better shape, averaged 34 a game. He is going to be the league's probably, best pure shooter score for a long time, Luka at 2. SGA, who's an MVP finalist, has emerged. I didn't see this coming. So he led the NBA. He had 51 games, 30 or more points. Plays defense. Led the NBA in steals. I mean, they're a totally different team. They're not totally dependent on him offensively, but when he's on the court, they're plus 11. When he's off, they're in the minus territory. Number 4 is Jason Tatum, best player on the best team. And one of the things you like about Tatum, his usage rate isn't that high. So, there are some questions. Does he want the ball late, or does Jaylen Brown want it more? He's not bad late in games. He just hasn't been great clutch time sometimes. But he's the best player on the best team, and he's averaging 25, 8, and 4, and the only other guys doing that are like Giannis and Luka. Number 5, again, he's injured. He'd probably be my 4 instead of my 5, but is Giannis. I don't think he's going to play in the first few games in this series. Listen, he averaged 30 a game, career high in assists, but he's had calf issues, lower leg Achilles issues, so you're kind of just like crossing your fingers. He actually slightly got better this year, but bigs, once they start getting hurt, they don't get hurt less. I would put him at 5. I thought Anthony Davis had probably his best year as a pro. He moved back inside. He wandered out to the perimeter for a couple years. He wandered back in, and he had career highs the last 2 years in points in the paint, and that's where he's great. He's the best defensive player, I think, in the league. He gets along with LeBron. He played a ton of games this year. He played 76 games, and he played hurt. That was always the knock on him, that he was kind of a soft player, a dad bod, wouldn't put the time in the gym. This year, great shape, played hard. I thought he was a spectacular player. I think the 7th best player is his teammate LeBron, who needs more days off. But LeBron led the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. The other thing about LeBron is that he had a really good year shooting threes, over 40%. Now, LeBron has always been, sometimes he believes in his three-point shot, sometimes he doesn't. When he doesn't, he usually goes back to driving and scoring, which he's highly effective at. He can't give you the night, he needs time off. He's going to take some days off, but I would say he's the 7th best player. And on many nights, he's the best player for a half in the league. Number 8, Jalen Brunson. It's not just about scoring. Leadership, toughness. Now, since the All-Star break, leads the NBA in usage rate. Historically, if you're like a usage rate leader, you wear down in the playoffs, and I think that could possibly happen against Philadelphia. But with Jalen, it's the mid-range game, it's the leadership, it's the defense, it's the toughness. He's a classic Villanova guy. He's 8. Kevin Durant, 9. Kevin, 15 straight season, averaging 25+. He also played a ton of games like Anthony Davis. So he played 75 games. He doesn't want to be the leader. That's not what he's going to do. But he's a remarkable shot maker. And what you'll find in the playoffs, sometimes analytics take a backseat to get a basket and get a stop. He's always been an underrated defensive player. And by the way, these are razor thin. You can argue all of these. I'd say number 10 is Joel Embiid. He's just hurt. So you're not getting the best of Joel Embiid, but they're 32-8 when he plays. And that you can't deny. Now, where's Ant Edwards? I don't think he's as complete as SGA. He's not the defensive player as some of these guys. He's not a shot creator. Ant's probably like 11. Jaylen Brown's got to be 12, in that sort of ballpark. So there you go. My top 10 players in the playoffs. We can argue. I would say, you know what's interesting, and you saw this with DeJounte Murray. If you look at DeJounte Murray in Atlanta, when Trae Young doesn't play, his numbers go up. Jaylen Brown's with Luka, and then he goes to New York without Luka, high usage rate, and his numbers pop. And then they pop again when Julius Randle leaves.
With Brunson, yeah.
Yeah, so with Brunson, he not only improved post-Dallas, but post-Julius Randle. Now, the problem being is, yes, he's getting more points and more shot. He's got the ball in his hands too much.
That was Harden's thing.
That was, and by the way, it's been Luka's thing. You have to be in incredible shape. You got to kind of be lucky. To me, Philadelphia is going to lean on him, throw bodies on him. It's going to be a long series. I'll take Philadelphia. But I do think there are certain teams. We always think baseball is better with the Yankees. I'll be honest. I think the NBA is better with the Knicks. They just haven't been viable for a long time. I don't think some teams are built because of Thibodeau. The Knicks are an effort team. They give you great effort every night. But in the playoffs, everybody gives you effort. So if your great quality is, they just outplay people. Tibbs teams play hard. But everybody in the postseason plays hard. So the Knicks, to me, are an overvalued 2. I mean, Mike Dunleavy told me this years ago when he was coaching. He goes, if you get a young team that's not that talented that plays hard, you win 40 games.
Sure.
On effort. Now, there were more back-to-backs then. He goes, if you get a young team, guys can play back-to-back, and they play their butt off, you'll win 40 games. And you may have a 30-win roster. So the Knicks play so hard, so consistently. They're gonna win games on nights when they played Boston about a week ago or 10 days ago. Boston didn't even show up. The Knicks played like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. So that's going to even out. I think you're going to see that with OKC. Young teams play hard. They don't have a trophy yet. Now everybody plays hard every game. So I think OKC going to win a series, and that's it.
It's also been the beauty of Boston playing so hard. They haven't won a title yet, but they feel like a team that has a chip on their shoulder. Despite, they won 64 games. They were dominant. But that feels like a team that's every night is really competing.
And Denver's the best team, but if you I watched Denver a lot this year. They have a lot of bad halves. Now, they're really good in clutch time numbers. Like, Denver can really turn it on. But you could watch Denver from time to time and think, yeah, they played last night.
Yeah.
They
got their title.
The guys have a trophy. They're not giving it. And then they usually figured out a way to grind you down and get back into it. But that there is something to be said about that historically. If you got the trophy, the regular season becomes much less crucial.
I had a list too, Colin.
Let me see it.
Yeah, this is the Schultz list. Not rewarding defense because I don't play defense. No. I got Jokic, Giannis, KD, Luka, Tatum, Embiid, Braun, Edwards, Booker, and Brunson. Now, the two discrepancies for us, I have Kevin way higher.
You don't have Anthony Davis on the list.
I don't. So that's where I was going with this. You're very high. You're bullish on AD this year because he moved more inside.
Well, I was so anti-AD 3 years ago.
He's changed.
Oh,
he's adapted.
He had a great year. First of all, he plays every night. He plays hurt. He's a dominant defender. His offense, he's usually great 2 out of 3 games. So that's the knock on him.
Yeah.
It's to some night. But also, when you play defense like he does against bigs, it's exhausting. And you can't do it on both ends. LeBron can take nights off defensively.
Yeah.
AD can't.
I would say with Edwards, too, I know you didn't put him on, but 37% from 3. His pace, I thought, slowed down a little bit. That showed maturity. I think he's going to explode in the playoffs. My quick thought before you go. Is Wemby in this position next year? Top 10 in the playoffs.
I think they're a low-end playoff team, and he's probably top 10.
There you go.
Yeah, he's the kind of player you could see guys saying, "Oh, I'd like to play for him." Yeah, they're not going to win a title next year, but they're close. They're very close to being really interesting. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.